one, and we're going to start with the mental stoppage time diseases, I'm going to call it. So, look, I know we're all focused on the Lidberg in this 98th minute or 48th minute equalizer in the game, and you look at the entire season's worth of it, right? These last two games, there's obviously two late goals that happened in those games. One in the end of the first half of this game, and then Hannover game, there was two late goals in that game. So you're thinking, oh, it's just a small thing, but as you look at the year in total, 10 goals we have given up in the last minute of the first half or last minute of the second half. And I know early on in the season, we were worried how early goals we were giving up because, there's some goals in like the first 10 minutes of the game a bunch of times. But really, if you look at the end of the first half and end of the second half, those have been big time. And like I said, 10 goals have been scored. And I'll give you a rundown of how this happened. You tell me if you notice a trend of when these are happening. So Matchday 1 against Hertha Berlin, one goal we give up late. We end up getting a win in the game, so there's that. A Matchday 11 against Karlsruhe, one time we got a late goal allowed there. That came out to a loss. Matchday 17 against Braunschweig, one time a late goal by Sidi Sane. They got a win in that game. Kaiserslautern, one time in Matchday 19 that ended up being a draw. Matchday 20 against Bochum happened one time. That came to a loss, 2-1 loss there. Matchday 21 against Dresden, it happened one time there, a 2-2 draw. Matchday 23, Magdeburg, one time in that game, but though we got a win in that game 5-3. Matchday 26 last weekend against Hannover happened twice in the last 10 minutes of the game, ended up being a draw. And then obviously in this game, they got a late goal in the first half that ended up being a draw. So in total, all those late stoppage time goals that we've allowed this season, most of them have been in the second half of the season, Jack. Outside of 3, 7 have been in the second half of the season. And we've dropped in total 14 points as a result of those late goals. My question, I guess, to you is this: you see this high press by Muslic and trying to get these guys play physical, this and that, but it seems like are these last second giving up these goals at the end of halves? Is this a defensive collapse, a failure of tactical instructions, or a breakdown of mental fortitude under this promotion race?
Yeah. It's interesting that you brought this up, and I know you kind of sent me this topic before the show, and I want to go back and start looking at some of these moments and see if there was anything that changed in terms of our approach or our shape, whether we dropped off significantly in the minutes preceding this, or if there's something explainable in that. If there isn't, though, it is interesting because you feel like one of the strengths of Muslic as a coach and about Muslic, the teams that he has, is mental fortitude. So in that sense, you wouldn't expect there to be some sort of we're checking out because we're thinking about halftime, 2 minutes before halftime. You would think a team like that would be more mentally locked in than other teams. It could just be that this is a more high press. I mean, we see Ryan making a comment in the chat. It could be something along those lines where, the style that Muslic is playing, we're tiring out towards the end of halves. More than maybe we otherwise would. I don't know if that was something that was happening under Tedesco too. If we go back and look at that, kind of a similar team in terms of that approach. So maybe there's similarities. I'm not sure, but it's definitely, now that you pointed out, it definitely seems like there's been a recent trend, and especially with how many of those have become draws as opposed to losses. There's a lot of points we're leaving on the table then for sure. So I'm not surprised it's as many as it is, and that hurts when you think about we only have the 1 point lead, and some of those collapses could have a nice cushion by now.
It's a 14 points would have been a really nice cushion. And I think it's a little bit of everything, right? I think it's a little bit of what Ryan's talking about, where we press super hard early on in the game and eventually we just get worn out at the end of the halves. That's for sure. I see that for sure. And I think also what asynchronous says, from the moment the opposition goes all in trying to get the equalizing goal or game-winning goal, we seem to collapse. And it's the press that Muslic wants to instill in his team. I believe it works. We've seen it many times from the first game against Hertha Berlin all the way through now. Even in this Darmstadt game, it's working. However, we're getting out of crunch time, and these late goals have not stopped. There's been 7 in the second half of the season already. For a team that's only given up 10 goals in the first half of the season, we've given 7 late stoppage time goals in the second half already. So maybe I don't want to give up the press because that's been really good for us. But maybe, to the points in the chat, maybe we kind of hold off a little bit, temper our pressing, and conserve some energy until you get to the second half, late in the games. I can't think of the teams. There's a couple teams that come to mind, but I've lost who they were. But I've seen teams in the past, and they're the bigger teams, but as a half gets towards the end, they increase the press to really cause the chaos to take advantage of the tired team that they're playing against. And maybe this is something Schalke could incorporate, whether it's against a team that's lower on the table or one of our direct rivals for promotion. Kind of hold off on that pressing early in the game, just trying to feel into it. And as you get closer to the end of the half or end of the game, you increase that pressure on the opposition when they're trying to increase, and hopefully that causes them to cause the turnovers and we get some goals that way. I don't know what the answer is, but it is kind of scary that we're giving up these late goals in the first half or end of the game, and we're dropping so many crucial points that could ultimately cost us, the promotion race.
Yeah, maybe do a reverse like 60-30 where you sub somebody out after the first 30 minutes of the game and have them do their 60 minutes.
Yeah,
get fresh legs towards the end of the first half as opposed to like
maybe
super tight. I have no idea. But like I said, I want to go back and take a look at some of those moments and see if there's anything we can kind of draw in terms of similarities or not from some of those collapses. But it is strange that you point out there's been such a cluster of those. So you would think there'd be some sort of commonality we can point to, but yeah, you need to get a handle on that. It certainly is shifted the table outlook when you put it that way.
And I just put all the games in the chat so people can look themselves to see if maybe they can find a trend that's happening in all these games and why we're dropping so many goals late in halves and games.